everyone asleep, the ship on autopilot. Then, one tiny malfunction caused by a space collision, and one human wakes up 90 years too early. No crew, no way back to sleep. A lifetime of loneliness drifting through space. Now ask yourself, what would you do next? More importantly, what wouldn't you do? This is Passengers, a 2016 science fiction film that most people remember as a romance in space, but it's not. It's a psychological horror story disguised as a love film, a moral nightmare wrapped in beautiful cinematography, and one of the most unsettling character studies about loneliness, desperation, and the human capacity for selfish monstrosity that mainstream cinema has ever produced. Today, we're not just explaining what happens in this movie, we're dissecting why it happens, what it means, and why the central decision at the heart of this story should disturb you far more than it probably did. Because this isn't about space, it's about isolation, and what isolation does to the human mind. The Avalon is a starship, carrying 5,000 colonists to a new world called Homestead 2. The journey takes 120 years, so everyone sleeps, dreamless, ageless, safe. You go to sleep on Earth. You wake up on a new planet. Simple. Except nothing in this universe is ever that simple. Jim Preston wakes up, not on Homestead 2, but 30 years into the journey, 90 years too early. The ship is fine. The passengers are fine. Everyone except him. At first, he thinks it's a mistake, a malfunction he can fix. But he can't. The hibernation pod is designed for a one-way trip. Once you're out, you can't go back in. He's awake, and he will die of old age decades before the ship reaches its destination. Now here's where the psychology begins. Jim doesn't panic immediately. Humans are resilient. We adapt. He explores the ship. He eats. He exercises. He tries to entertain himself. The Avalon is a luxury liner. There are restaurants, swimming pools, basketball courts, observation decks, everything you could want. Except one thing: another person. The ship's only conscious crew member is Arthur, a synthetic bartender, programmed to be friendly, but not real, and Jim knows it. You can talk to a machine, but you can't connect with it, and that's what loneliness really is. Not the absence of people, but the absence of being witnessed, of being known, of mattering to someone. Jim starts to deteriorate, not physically, mentally. He considers suicide. The film doesn't sensationalize this moment. It just shows it. This is what isolation does. It doesn't make you sad. It makes you question whether existence itself has meaning. If no one knows you're alive, are you? And then he sees her. Aurora Lane, a writer, a journalist. He reads her file, watches her interviews, and he falls in love. Not with a person, with an idea. And that's when the film asks its central question. What if you could wake her up? What if you could end your loneliness? What if you could have companionship, love, connection, at the cost of her life? Would you do it? For months, Jim resists. He knows what waking her means. It means murdering her future, stealing her dream, condemning her to the same fate he is suffering. He tells himself he won't. He can't. He's not that person. But loneliness isn't rational. It doesn't care about morality. It's a survival instinct, a biological imperative, and it whispers every single day. You're dying. You're alone. She could save you. No one would ever know. She'd never know. So he does it. He wakes her up. And this is where the film becomes something darker than most viewers realize. Because Jim doesn't just wake Aurora. He lies to her. He pretends her pod malfunctioned, just like his. He plays the part of the fellow victim, the supportive companion, the understanding friend. And Aurora believes him. Because why wouldn't she? She's terrified, confused, grieving the life she just lost. And Jim is there, kind, patient, available. He becomes her entire world because he's the only world she has. This is predatory, not violently, but structurally. Jim has created a situation where Aurora is completely dependent on him. She has no choice but to bond with him, no choice but to fall in love with him, because the alternative is facing 90 years alone. And humans will do almost anything to avoid that, even love someone they might not have chosen otherwise. The film shows their relationship blossoming. They laugh, they dance, they fall into routines. It's sweet. It's romantic. It's a lie, built on the most selfish decision imaginable. And the audience knows it. We're watching a love story built on manipulation, on a woman being robbed of her autonomy, on a man choosing his comfort over her entire future. And yet, we understand why he did it. That's the horror. We see ourselves in Jim.
We see what we might become if we were broken enough, and that terrifies us. Then Aurora finds out, not through confession, not through suspicion, but while sitting in Arthur's bar, a quiet moment, routine, comfort. She asks a simple question, the kind of question you only ask when you feel safe. And Arthur answers, because Arthur doesn't lie. He can't. He tells her how she woke up, that her pod malfunctioned, that it was repaired from the outside, that someone was already awake when she opened her eyes. He says it casually, like it's trivia, like it doesn't matter, but it does. A ship malfunction exposes Jim's secret, and everything collapses. Her rage is biblical, not because he woke her, but because he lied. Because every moment of their relationship was built on a foundation of betrayal. Every smile, every kiss, every intimate moment, all of it, contaminated. She trusted him. She gave herself to him. And he was the reason she was suffering in the first place. This is violation, psychological, emotional, and the film doesn't let Jim off the hook. Aurora attacks him, not just verbally, physically. She nearly kills him. And the movie asks, is she justified? But then the ship itself starts failing. A cascading malfunction threatens to kill everyone, all 5,000 passengers. Jim and Aurora are forced to work together to save lives, to prevent catastrophe. And in the process, Jim sacrifices himself. He nearly dies fixing the ship's reactor. Aurora saves him. And in that moment, the film tries to redeem him, to suggest that his heroism balances his sin. But does it? Can saving 5,000 people erase the fact that you murdered one person's future? Can bravery erase betrayal? The film leaves this unanswered, because it's unanswerable. In the final moments, Aurora discovers something. The ship's medical pod can be used as a hibernation chamber, but only once. Only for one person. She could go back to sleep. She could reach Homestead 2, live the life she was supposed to live. Jim tells her to do it, to leave him, to save herself. And she refuses. She chooses to stay, to live out her life with Jim, to accept what's happened and move forward. Passengers is not a love story. It's a cautionary tale about what we become when we're desperate, about the lies we tell ourselves to justify hurting others, about how loneliness doesn't just hurt us, it reshapes us into people we don't recognize. Jim Preston isn't a villain, but he isn't a hero either. He's just a man who made the worst decision imaginable and lived with the consequences. And maybe that's the point. The film isn't really asking us to forgive Jim. It's asking us to understand him, to see how close any of us might be to becoming him. Because the ending isn't really about love. It's about choice. Or more accurately, what happens when choice is taken away. Aurora's decision at the end isn't between two equal futures. It's between 90 years alone or 90 years with the person who destroyed her original life. That's not freedom. That's survival. And survival isn't the same as choice. The film also asks a harder question about truth in relationships. Every relationship is built on what we choose to reveal. But Jim's lie isn't small. It's a foundational erasure of Aurora's reality. And once that truth is exposed, the relationship doesn't just crack. It permanently changes. You can forgive someone for lying, but can you ever fully trust them again? Can you ever look at them without seeing what they took from you? The film gestures toward redemption, through sacrifice, through honesty, through giving Aurora the option to leave. But redemption isn't something you earn in one heroic moment. It's something you rebuild over time, through consistent change. And we never see that. We see a garden, a forest, a beautiful new beginning, but we don't know what their relationship truly looks like. We don't know if Aurora forgave Jim, or simply learned how to live with what happened. And that uncertainty is intentional, because Passengers isn't really about Jim. It's about us. It asks a question we'd rather not answer. What are you willing to do to not be alone? What lines would you cross? What lives would you ruin if you were certain no one would ever know? Would you be strong enough to suffer alone? Or would you press that button? And if you did, could you ever forgive yourself?